Welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. My name is Paul. I am the Country Hipster. That music you just heard was none other than the Unholy Four and their mega fucking hit song, Dirty Knife. Check out the Unholy Four on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram, bunch of places. Just look up the Unholy Four and you can hear Dirty Knife for yourself in its entirety.
Do we think perhaps if they just Google the Unholy Four, something would come up?
There's going to be a couple things that come up. That's kind of the problem. So, there could be a few things but I guess you could Google Unholy Four, Charlottesville, Virginia, or Unholy Four, Virginia, maybe.
Probably.
I don't know. Or just look up Unholy Four Dirty Knife and then maybe that'll tell you everything. That could be it.
It would save you from having to remember all of the places to look them up.
Yeah, but I'll still have to say it every episode. I'm contractually obligated to promote the Unholy Four. So I am also contractually obligated to tell you that the podcast specific promo code for January is 2025, and it is a special one for January. Use 2025 in the promo code section at checkout on OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. And you will receive 25% off of your entire order at OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. Can be used one per person, not good on Discogs. So you can do that. Adam is not here again. As I explained a couple weeks ago, doing some scheduling stuff. We're kind of trying to rush through the end of the season because I'm having a baby very soon, or I may have had a baby already because we are filming well in advance. I don't even know. But we are trying to do this. So sometimes episodes are going to be a little bit weird. But my co-host tonight would have been here anyway, since this is a listener's pick. Let's welcome our Gen Z prospector.
I can't with that word.
The country gold digger, Megan.
Why is this a thing now?
I don't know. But
this is now... Okay, we've introduced this bit early. This is now a problem. We have children that listen to this podcast.
That's okay. Whatever. They should know. They should know that you are a prospector on the Gen Z perspective of the gold digging of the money that you don't do. But that's besides the point.
Sentence? Your sentence just then sounded like their lab reports.
Well, there you go. I am on the... See, that's the thing. I'm hip. I'm down. The kids know me. They're like, oh yeah. See, that's the thing. They're going to be like, oh yeah, that totally makes fucking sense right there, what he said. And you're like, what? And see, I get the kids. That's why I have 5 of them. So.
Okay. Well, for those couple of kids that have taken it upon themselves to listen to this.
Welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. Your merits are because of me, just so you know. You're welcome.
Okay. If this is airing on Thursday.
Yes.
I'm expecting none of them to actually listen to this until sometime on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Everything on the internet is blocked on their Chromebooks.
Oh,
so
that's no fun.
If one of you comes up to me on Friday and says something about Sunday at Foxwoods, I will give you 25 merits.
Ooh.
However,
you'll get an additional 25 if you tell them you're a part of the 1916 Army. There you go.
Yeah, if you say that in somewhere that admin is not going to hear you and send you to guidance. Nix that idea, but since you're here, now you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the Goo Goo Dolls episode. Look up the band whose t-shirt I'm wearing. And if you give me the name of a song by that band, I will give you another 25 merits for that one.
I'll be honest with you. I don't even remember what t-shirt you were wearing that day. I'm assuming it was the Goo Goo Dolls, but it's probably not. Okay, there you go.
It was not. It was a local band that they're going to have to actually look up.
It's the Birmingham 6.
No, I don't have a Birmingham 6 t-shirt.
Either do I, actually. I don't. I gave them all away.
Well, make more of them.
That costs money. That's annoying. So we are here to talk about an album. This is a listener's pick. This is Megan's pick before she was the Gen Z prospector. And it is Boys Like Girls, Sunday at Foxwoods. We started the listener picks very early in season 1. We were like, hey, drop some knowledge, put something in you want us to listen to for season 2. And Megan, actually, this is your third of 4 albums.
It is.
Because we don't have very many listeners now, but we had even less then.
Yeah.
So so Megan gets 4 albums. This is, you're basically, you like represent the listeners of the Country Hipster podcast. So this is your third pick. There's something else I was gonna fucking say about that. Oh, now I remember. So speaking of listener picks, drop in the comments on Spotify or YouTube, or email me at info@ottsvillerecordgarage.com and tell us what you want us to do. What do you want us to cover for season 3? Because we're gonna do listener picks again. And honestly, it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter. Like if we get 20 listener picks, we're gonna do 20 listener picks. We get 5, we're gonna do 5. So the more we get, the more listeners picks we're gonna do, and less of like my stuff, less of Adam's stuff, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure some of those will coincide with booze and vinyls and stuff like that. But yeah, so that is the plan. So just drop them, and we will cover them for season 3. Let us know what you want us to hear. So before we get into this, I need to ask you some questions. Okay. So from what I understand, from what you've said, from what you've told me, you have some connections to this band.
I do.
Okay. So what are the connections that you have to Boys Like Girls?
Okay. So I am a competitive Irish step dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And part of being one of the upper level competitors is that you travel for major competitions like nationals, worlds, etc. I am not a worlds level dancer. However, yeah.
There you go. There's always a yet, people. Don't sell yourself short. There's always a yet.
2 years ago, nationals was hosted in Nashville, and at that time, my school had been doing workshops with this guy who was a former touring dancer, still here and there, jumps on tours to do different shows and all. And at this competition, I ran into him. We were checking in about the younger dancers and how I did, and sorting through whatever minor problem solving we could do in a social setting. And he says, oh, hey, this is my brother, Brian. Well, Brian Doherty not only is a former Riverdance performer.
Okay.
He is also a photographer out in Los Angeles. And we chatted at nationals, we swapped Instagrams and all, and we kept in touch when I came home. And in some of our passing conversation about like, oh, you're a photographer, you do cool things, that sounds so exciting. He says, yeah, I might be going on tour with Boys Like Girls for the fall. And I'm like, wait, I know that name. What the heck did they do? And I had to look them up because at the time that they were releasing new music, I lived under a rock. I had to ask permission to add things on my iTunes library because I was like 10.
Okay.
And I'm terrible with like equating band names and song titles.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I know, like, yes, I've heard this before. I have no idea what it's called or who it's by, but I know I like it. This situation was one where their single, The Great Escape, from their self-titled album back in 2005, was one of those, like, iconic emo songs from 2005.
Okay. Have they been around that long? I actually didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they started in 2005.
Okay.
So I recognized that song. There were a couple others that I remembered hearing on the radio or at school dances or on other people's phones when we were driving around places. So I did my psychotic deep dive through their entire discography and thought, oh, this is cool. I like this. Then I looked up their tour schedule and said, oh, it looks like you have a show in Philly at the end of October. Tickets are like $50. I'll try to buy tickets because it's on a Monday. I can't guarantee anything. And he goes, why would you buy tickets? Well, that's kind of how you get into a show, is you buy a ticket. And Brian goes, no. I'm on tour with them. I know you. You will be on the list.
There you go. On the list.
Oh,
On the list.
On the list.
I like being on the list.
it was very exciting to be on the list.
It is exciting to be on the list. If
Yeah.
you've never been on the list, and people talk about like, oh, on the list, like, okay, so I'll say this about being on the list. Backstage at like big venues and big concerts and shit like that, there's nothing fucking cool going on. There's really not, for the most part.
It was just the ambiance
Yes,
of like, oh my
yes.
goodness, these people are on Spotify and they're on tour.
And that's the cool
And
thing about
I'm
it.
a high
Yes.
school teacher.
Yes. Like that's yes, that is the thing. It's just kind of like, you know, like there's not it's not like the 70s or even some of the 80s where there's like cocaine everywhere and fucking crazy parties. Like that shit doesn't happen anymore.
No, but like half their band is sober anyway.
Right, exactly. And but like it is cool to like, especially when it's a big venue like that, to have to know someone in band or in one of the supporting bands and they get you in and you get backstage passes, and it's just like, it's just cool. It's cool to be there. Like I got to hang out with my boy Warren, who was actually, I know Warren through Sean of the Unholy Four.
Okay.
Warren plays drums in this band called Valkyrie, and they were on tour with Helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And they were coming to Philly, and I just hit it Warren up. I was like, yo, man, you want to, you have time before the show? You want to grab a beer? I haven't seen you in a little while. He's like, you want to go to the show? I was like, yeah, sure. Put me on the list, fucking all access back. So I'm like, fuck, all right, cool. And we're like hanging out. I'm sitting there, and it was just cool to be like backstage and hanging out with them and whatnot. And what was kind of cool is like the one guy in Valkyrie used to be in Baroness, and at the time, like Baroness would like just got off tour with Metallica and shit like that. So I sat there with Pete and just fucking shot the shit with Pete. Like I actually missed all of Helmet's set because I just sat there talking to Pete about like music and just different experiences and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you ever get a chance to be on the list, fucking get on the list and fucking do it. Just do it. But I'm sorry, I stole your conversation here. So you got on the list.
I got on the list.
You got
and
on the
it was
list.
like a situation where there was actually a legit list.
Yep.
And I had to walk up and show my ID, and they slapped a wristband on me and said,
go.
You're good.
Yeah. So what was the venue you were on the list for?
This was at the Fillmore.
Okay. That's cool. That's awesome.
That was the first time.
The first time. First time.
We'll
Okay.
circle back. So this was at the Fillmore. Me and one of my friends that I teach with both went. We were on the list, and we got to just wander around places. And when we got there, Brian had to meet us at the gate and make sure that we were definitely on the list. And we're walking in during sound check because he has to do like all the close-up shots and everything while there's no people there. So as we're walking in, Brian, being friends with their bass player Greg just chucks a guitar pick at us from here probably to my car in your driveway.
Okay.
And it just lands at my sneakers. I'm like, I'm keeping that. That's mine now. And he's like, well, yeah, that's how that works.
That's the
Welcome.
point.
Welcome. Yes, that's your. So I have like 4 of their used guitar picks from the show.
Nice.
They had people who actually paid for sound check also coming in like shortly after that. And they did like the whole meet and greet part, and their lead singer Martin Johnson comes down from sound check to mingle with the regular
common
people
folk.
and all. Yeah.
Mingling with the common folk.
Brian goes to introduce me to the guys, and I'm looking at Martin. I'm like, you, sir, are a brave individual. And he goes, why? You're wearing a Red Sox jersey in Philly. Oh, you guys suck. You just lost the World Series and all this, that, the other. Like, yeah, but I had enough confidence in me that day to say to somebody who gets on stage for a living and say, you, sir, are brave.
Yes.
Welcome to Philly.
Yes,
I don't know what happened to me that day. It was a weird day, but it was fun.
Nice.
So they start their show, and it was awesome. We were there early enough to be pretty far up. And towards the end, as Brian's running around with the camera getting all manner of angles and pictures and video clips and all, I get a text that says, do you want to come side stage for the last song? Well, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's not even a question. Yes, I would like to go do that. So I get to like pop backstage and hop up the side, and I have the coolest pictures ever, and the videos are crap because the sound is all going forward.
Exactly. Yes. But and I think that is what people miss on stage. Too, playing music. Everybody kind of, has their wedge and they have what they need. So you're not getting like the full sound of the band. You're like maybe hearing what the drummer wants to hear, maybe what the guitar player wants to hear. You know what I mean? Like very rarely do people on stage have a full mix on stage with them. So
Yeah.
it definitely sounds different.
It sounded weird, and like
Yeah.
the video quality is weird, but it's also video of like, holy shit, I'm standing on the side of the stage for the headlining band, and they're like at the Fillmore. Like, this is awesome. So as they're wrapping up, they do their closing and all, and they go back for the encore, and they played this duet song that they did with Taylor Swift right as she was getting big.
Okay.
2 is Better Than 1. It was on their second album. And
actually, wasn't that a Spice Girls song, 2 Become 1?
I don't know. Was I even alive for that?
Oh. What year were you born?
97.
Oh God, I don't think you were. I'm gonna look that up, but keep talking. Keep talking.
So the guys all come off stage, and Martin's like, "Oh my God, that was so fucking hard." What? Huh? Oh my God, that was so hard. Like, what do you mean it was hard? Like, nothing was working. Whatever happened with his guitar and his monitors, he swapped out guitars like 6 times.
Oh wow.
And something just wasn't working. It was kind of like this. Oh, this happens to like big fancy people, and not just us.
Not just like
I mean, I can't hear myself for shit 90% of the times we play.
Spice Girls 2 Become 1 came out on December 16th, 1996. So no, you were not.
Nope. So sorry.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that was occasion number 1, and it was really awesome, and it was the best concert experience I've had.
Nice.
To date.
Okay.
So they leave. I go back to my daily life. I obsessively play the entire album for the next 6 to 8 months or so. And over the summer, I, out of the blue, get a text from Brian that says, "Hey, where are you in relation to Fort Washington, Pennsylvania?" That's a half hour from me. I used to work there. Why?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be at a wedding there this weekend, this being in like August. Is there any chance you could pick me up from the airport so I don't have to get an Uber? Sure. I'm not doing anything. Absolutely. I'll pick you up from the airport. Like, I actually get to see you and hang out with you for 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So I picked him up from the airport. He goes to the wedding for a couple other famous dancers and all. And the next day, he texts me, he's like, "What are you doing? I have all this time to kill before my flight." Like, hanging out with a bunch of my friends. We're at the Elmwood Zoo. That's like 20 minutes from where you're at. Like, come hang out. So we wandered the zoo where one of my friends was working. We all went out for lunch after, and we're talking, and he's like, we were going back and forth about, oh, Boys Like Girls is coming back with Dashboard Confessional. They'll be at the Met in September. And I thought, like, I was on the fence about, like, I really want to see them play again. But the first time I saw them was like,
and it does. It's can it live up to that experience?
Exactly.
Yes,
I'm like,
absolutely.
I don't know, but like, I really want to see them. And I was talking to my friend that came with me the first time, and we're like, yeah, we're probably gonna go. We'll get tickets. And Brian says, "Don't buy them yet." Why? I'm waiting on official confirmation, but I might be on tour with them again.
Nice.
So since it was a Dashboard Confessional was headlining, there was a little more limitation as to what we were allowed to do. So we didn't get to go backstage, but we had orchestra level tickets, and we were like right behind the pit. Their lead guitar, Jamel, just came out and wandered amongst the people at one point, and we got selfies with him before he wandered back wherever he was going. And after the show, we wandered ourselves up to Lorraine Bar, and so did Greg and Jamel.
There you go.
And a bunch of other people that were with the bands. So I got to drink with the guys in Boys Like Girls.
That's cool. That's awesome.
It was awesome.
That is awesome.
I don't think I'm going to have any concert story top either one of those.
And you know what? And that's awesome. That is like really like a great experience. And like, you know, especially when it's like, you know, it, even if like it's a band that you're like not that familiar with, like I wasn't like, I know Warren, like I'm not that familiar with Valkyrie, but like, you know, being able to be like backstage at the time it was the Electric Factory. It was just cool. Like being able to walk up and be like, yeah, man, let's go, you know, and just like, hey, I'm going to stand like in this section up in the balcony where like nobody's allowed to go, so I get like a really good view of you guys, and you know what I mean. And then afterwards, just hanging out, like sitting in their fucking dressing room, like fucking eating tortilla chips and shit like that. It was just, you know, it's cool, and those experiences are great, and it's awesome. And that sounds like they're pretty down to earth guys.
They are, and like while we were drinking after the Met, I briefly floated the general idea of, hey, my friend's got this podcast, and like we're talking about Sunday at Foxwoods at some point this season.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys be interested in doing like a short little interview? Like literally nothing involved. I have 4 major questions that I wanted to answer. Like it could be a quick cell phone video or like super easy. And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. Not while we're drinking though. So like not right now. Like totally understand that.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I messaged the Instagram account and I looked up how to formally contact them on the interwebs and all, and there's nothing on their website. It was weird.
Yeah.
I had to Google like who are their agents even, and I sent a message through one of those like, please fill out this form and someone will get back to you within X number of business days. So whichever of you guys checks the Instagram account, if any of you, and there's this random DM sitting there about, hey, can you interview for this podcast? Check that one out maybe so that we could get some cool bonus content. That'd be awesome.
Megan slid into your DMs. Not everybody has the opportunity to have Megan slide into your DMs. So that is what happened. So there you go.
Yeah. So I got cool stories. I have a set of used drumsticks from the Fillmore show.
Nice.
I stole a hoodie, not from the band.
Okay.
Stole a hoodie from Brian.
There you go.
Wait,
hey, why not?
Listen, you handed me a hoodie because I looked like I was cold. I'm not mailing this back to LA. This is mine now.
Fuck yeah, that's yours. All right, so is that why you picked this album? Was it because your experience with them, or is there another reason why you picked this album?
It was partially the experience that I had with the Fillmore show, but also like when I started listening to the band and I noticed, oh look, they put out more stuff. This is cool. Let me check that out too. It was at a particular time where I was starting to kind of refigure myself out a little bit. And I was kind of adjusting my self-confidence. I'll put it is probably the easiest way.
Okay.
So it was like this big emotional connection with the album for the time in my life that I found it.
Nice. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So, you want to hit me with some factoids about this album?
Cool. Interesting factoid about this album. There's no Wikipedia page.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I've been finding that lately. That like there's it's not there. Like, you know, it's been a little more difficult. We might actually have to do real research on these fucking factoids.
Yeah, I had to go into an interview from some other website and I have all of these useful quotes and all. But originally the band is from Andover, Massachusetts. Martin and John are original members. We have former members, Brian Donahue, who played bass 2005 to 2011. Paul DiGiovanni played lead guitar 2005 to 2022. And Morgan Dorr played bass 2011 to 2021. Current members, in addition to Martin and John, are Jamel, who plays lead guitar, and Greg, who plays bass. According to an interview that I found on Rock Sound, Greg used to be Paul's roommate. He played bass with the guys a couple of times.
I never lived with anyone named Greg. What the fuck are you talking about? I totally threw you off. You're me.
Greg played bass with them a couple times, and he opened for them on one of the tours. Jamel was actually their first choice as a guitar player for the band also, but had said no because he wanted to stay with a local band in Boston that he'd been playing with. So, like, everybody involved has been involved since the start, even if they weren't initially playing all of the gigs with the band.
Right. Okay.
This particular record, Sunday at Foxwoods, was released on October 20th of 2023 on Fearless Records. It's the band's 4th studio album and the first one they released in 11 years. They had 5 singles off the album, Blood and Sugar, Language, The Outside, Cry, and New Love. Um, there's, again, because there's no Wikipedia page, there's almost nothing out there about like the background and whatnot of this album. I've seen like little snippets of interviews here and there on Instagram, but they're on Instagram. I work 87 jobs.
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit there and take notes on all of said videos. However, I did read this interview from Rock Sound. So Martin was quoted as saying, "I was 18 years old when I wrote our first record. There was a lot of things about that guy that I was embarrassed about. I'm 13 years sober now, but that kid was blowing an 8-ball up his nose and taking 14 Xanax bars every day. That's embarrassing. But in 2016, I learned how to love that kid again, to love the music he wrote, and to feel proud of it again." So when they got to the current album, he had said, "When we got into the studio to start writing this, it was like, who is it for? Are those people even still there?" Because it had been such a span since they started and since they had gone on their hiatus. He says, "It's easy to forget that there are people willing to sing your songs back to you." Playing When We Were Young Festival and going over to Asia and Australia in 2022, we felt the energy, joy, and true, unequivocal passion again. It was clear how much this music meant to people, and that reminded us what it meant to us. We had to look our fans in the eye all these years later to realize what we needed to make now, and it was instinctual. So the whole writing process is so much different than the first album because they're like whole grown adults. And they spent a lot of time figuring out what they needed to say with Sunday at Foxwood, pushing any expectations aside and writing songs solely for themselves. In particular, Cry took over 9 years and 6 re-recordings to make it onto the album because, quote, "it has to be believable. Throughout those 9 years, I didn't believe the songs because I had nobody to sing it to. Finally, I met my wife and she got pregnant, and suddenly I had somebody to sing it to, and I meant it." So this album pays tribute to everyone who has made the band's journey possible. That's what The Outside is about. It shares a lot of DNA with The Great Escape, which was their first single, because it's about the same 3 guys. Martin had these 3 best friends from high school, and they all have matching tattoos and whatnot, and they spend Christmas together, and they're in a fantasy football league, and they still are best friends to this day, even though they're grown and married and have kids, because it's important to celebrate the identity that you have and keep your old friends close because they're important.
Okay.
On the sound of the album, it's interesting because while the album is very different, Boys Like Girls have always made pop songs. They were just outfitted a certain way. There's a world that the first record, they're self-titled, produced differently, wouldn't even be called a pop punk or emo record. If you came out between 94 and 99, you were a grunge band. If you came out in 2006, you were an emo band. It's just kind of
I don't agree with that statement. No, because there's like, there's bands who came out. What's the time frames again?
94 to 99.
So,
anything that sounded similar to this would have been grunge.
No. Well, no. Okay. So I don't. This album, fuck no. This album would not be considered grunge at all.
Their early stuff. Yeah, that they put out.
So that was actually something I was going to ask you. Are you familiar with their catalog in general? Okay. So how different is this album from the rest of their stuff?
There's a lot of similarities, but it sounds more grown up, I think.
Okay.
Like their self-titled is very like, it's the 2005 skater kid that's going to Hot Topic, and
okay,
God, it's not just a phase, mom.
Yeah, so that if okay, so with that in mind, that sound in mind, so we're talking like that. If that's what I'm thinking of is like the Blink-182, Green Day, Brand New. So that definitely. I mean, you look at it, Blink-182, Green Day, those guys were out in 94 to 99, right? Yeah. Though, like, in that sound would not have been in that time frame considered emo or grunge. Do you know what I mean? It would have probably been punk or pop punk or something like that. Whereas, like, so yeah, you had like Nirvana, who are the the emo, which I think Nirvana, I think Kurt Cobain was dead by 94 anyway. But you know, when you think of Nirvana, like, yeah, they led to grunge, but like I don't even necessarily, I'm not a Nirvana fan. I don't necessarily consider Nirvana grunge. I consider Nirvana um more punk rock, more indie rock to an extent, more noise rock to an extent too. Like when I say noise rock, I mean like Sonic Youth type of feel to it. Which Dinosaur Jr., Sonic Youth. I believe one of their the Nirvana's big influences. Is like the Toadies, which are definitely more punk, more noise rock. Um, Not to say that they did not lead the grunge movement, but when I think of grunge, I think of Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Mother Love Bone. You know, that's the oh, you know, you put the grunge sound on the voice and you sound like this. You know what I mean? That's like the grunge sound.
Okay.
Whereas like, you know, and then you had like the like of that time, like the punk rock of like Green Day and Blink 182, and you know, even like, you know, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, even though they were like more ska, they were still a little like pop punky. You know, that was definitely a different thing. So if what you're saying is they were more of that like that Skater Boy Hot Topic type of sound, I think they would fall more in there. Whereas because also at that time you had of that like mid to late 90s, you had Sunny Day Real Estate, you had Texas is the Reason, both, you know, friends in the podcast, you had the Promise Ring, you had like bands like that who would definitely have fallen into that emo feel. So if this album isn't a complete departure from their early sounds, if you can link this album to their early sounds, this album definitely would not have fallen into the grunge sound. I don't think at all. Or their early stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the interview goes into that saying that it's clearly a Boys Like Girls record, but it's what would happen if Boys Like Girls slept in a cryogenic chamber for 11 years. If we released our self-titled in 2023, it would end up being a distorted version of who we were at 18. It'll never really be exactly the same.
Because
if you're going to go away for that long, it's important that you put out something you're really proud of, something that feels like your identity.
Well, I'll say that too. If they've gone away, how long were they on hiatus?
11 years.
11 years. So if you're on hiatus, you know, and you're doing shit, and you know, you shouldn't put out the same album that you put out 11 years ago. You know what I mean? You really should evolve to something else, whether, you know what I mean, whether that's good, bad, indifferent, or whatever, because the bands who tend to survive are the ones who have evolved in their sound. Like I always said, like, I am a U2 fan up to and including Rattle and Hum, but I don't really like anything past Rattle and Hum. Achtung Baby has grown on me, but it's their sound evolved. And I mean, this is one of the biggest bands in the world, and their sound definitely evolved and changed through time. And I think to you know, be able to survive like that, you have to change, you have to evolve, and you shouldn't put out the same album. The only band who is capable of putting out the same album over and over again, in my opinion, and they do, and they put out the same shit over and over again, but they're always writing new songs, they're always putting out new albums. And the last one was was a critically acclaimed album, is the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones haven't had a new idea in years, but they write new songs, but it's the same fucking album over and over and over again, and people love it. Not every band can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not every band should do that. You're not the fucking Rolling Stones.
Keith Urban does that. Every Keith Urban song sounds the same.
All fucking country. All that new fucking pop country shit all
Keith
sounds
Urban
the same
can get
thing.
away with it because he's an awesome guitar player.
I you know, I can't.
The words don't matter. It's all in the soul.
I can't really say one way or another because I about Keith Urban, because I couldn't tell you if Keith Urban kicked me in the balls right now, I wouldn't know he did it. Do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't know one Keith Urban song from another. Right. So, but I'm sorry. Go on with the factoids.
So they promoted the album with their fall 2023 tour. They continue promotion in 2024. I know they over the spring they had a tour in South America. They were back in the United States this past fall with Dashboard Confessional. They jumped in last minute to play When We Were Young Fest in Vegas, and now they're back on the bill for that next October. So if you find yourself in Las Vegas on October 18th, step out and support Boys Like Girls. I really wish I could take off from work for that. It sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the last note that I took out of the interview was that Martin's quoted as saying, "I feel so confident about everything we're doing now, but while our debut album means a lot to so many people, we'll never be able to make you 16 again. All we can hope is that Sunday at Foxwoods does something for you emotionally and spiritually, even if it feels a little different this time. This album is not for the 16-year-old version of the people who come to our shows. It's for the people they are now." Which is interesting because there's a line in one of their songs that it's like something about it's never as great as the first time. We will never be 18 again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we won't.
Yep.
However, the time that this was released, all of their track listings and the band name are in all caps.
Oh, I had that as one of my notes. Yes, go on.
All of their things are in all caps. Blink-182, also last October, released their new album, One More Time, in which the album title
Hit
and
me,
all of
baby.
No.
One more time? No. Oh, sorry. Am I mixing genres?
Album title and all of their track listings are also in all caps. These are bands that are popular with people who are now between the ages of 30 and 50.
So you can actually read it.
Do we think they're doing it on purpose so they can read it?
Fuck you. Is that why Taylor Swift put all folklore and all lowercase? Everything
I don't know,
folklore is in lowercase? Jesus Christ. You know, I feel some sort of way about you doing that, especially since I'm about to get AirPods so that I can use the hearing aid option on them. So whatever. Goddamn kids
today. My intention
today.
wasn't even to make fun of you today. I was supposed to be making fun of Adam. Oh, I'm a musical hypocrite. Megan makes me listen to shit music. I'm just gonna not show up today.
Yeah, well, you know, there you go. He is a musical hypocrite. Thank you for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
I forgot about that. Fucking musical hypocrite, and then he made me listen to fucking Led Zeppelin last week. That's fucking horrible. Oh God, so bad. All right, so is that the
that was the end of our
that's the back to all right,
yes.
cool. So how do you feel about this album?
I could so easily ramble on and on and on about how much I love this album.
Okay.
If I were to pick my top 25, this would be in my top 25.
Okay. Would it be in your top 10?
I think it would be in my top 10.
Okay.
I think this and American Idiot and Goo Goo Dolls would be definitely top 25. Okay. They would probably be some top 10 ones.
Okay.
As much as people have their comfort show, like people will repeatedly stream Friends or Seinfeld or The Office, this is my comfort album. I
never thought about that. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, no. It's actually a really good point. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, what would be like my comfort album? That's like I know like you weren't like posing that question, but it's like it is actually kind of because I never really thought of that.
It's an interesting thing to think about.
It is, yeah.
But, like when life sucks and I don't know what else to listen to, or like I need some kind of a hype song for it fits so many different feelings.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to this so many, like my Spotify Wrapped somehow Blood and Sugar was on my top listens.
Okay.
Which I thought was odd.
Right.
But like just Boys Like Girls in general is on the past 2 years has been on my top 5.
This particular album or Boys Like Girls in general?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I have all of my broken down by song notes if we want to get into that.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, it's just overall, like this is what I put on when I just need something to listen to and I can't decide anything else.
Big fangirl, love this album.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so I was not honestly not at all familiar with Boy Likes Girls before this. So I really went into this very open-minded, didn't know what to expect. Definitely did not expect this.
Okay.
And it is so fucking bad. I'm sorry. This album is so bad.
What did you expect?
So bad. I honestly, I was expecting probably something a little more pop punky, a little more emo-ish, like 2000s emo or like whatever. I don't even know. Is emo still around? Yeah. Whatever today's version of emo is. I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting this like I was not expecting songs that made me think of that, like they're being done by the boy, the male fraternity in Pitch Perfect. Like I was not expecting those songs to be like coming out here and like, you know what I mean, like seeing those guys there.
Oh my goodness.
It's like I'm also curious as to, and this is why I asked you it, like how different is this really from their early stuff, because I want to know at what point did alternative rock turn into B or C level boy band bullshit, because that is what this album like reminds me of, like
Probably
like,
about the same time that Motley Crue became classic rock.
I guess, man. And you know, it's just not like it's I didn't like this. I did not like this. You know, it just like, and from the beginning, like the fucking opening, like it sounds like it is the background soundtrack to like an opening of a sporting event. So like if you like think of the opening song on here, right? Whatever, it's like the intro, right?
Yes,
Whatever, and
it
it's going and like yes,
events.
it does, because I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This sounds like Al Michaels would be like, and tonight on Monday Night Football, we have the New England Patriots playing the Philadelphia Flyers. Like I swear to God, that's what it sounds like to me. And I know they're totally two different sports, everybody. I'm not a complete fucking idiot. I do realize this. And that's done on purpose because it's just such a, but that's what it reminded me of. And at first I'm like, and I know they're from Boston.
Yeah.
Right. And so I actually had to look up like, fuck, wait, where do the Patriots play? But they play in Foxborough. They play at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, no, this is not this that was not on purpose. That just fucking turned out like that.
So Foxwoods is a casino in Connecticut that like
which is what I found out. Yes.
Yeah, they that was in another note that I had skipped over, that Foxwoods is a casino in Connecticut where your trashy grandma or aunt who lives in Massachusetts would go.
Yeah, okay.
And an image came to my mind that felt like gambling on a Sunday. You're on the East Coast in this isolated casino, and it feels like the dark shadow over Boston, and it's less of a nod to the casino itself and more of a nod to just where they grew up in general.
Yeah, no, I like that. I do like that sentiment of it. That, you know what I mean? Like, that's cool. That's like, and that's the thing. And so like, I'm listening to you talk about like their quotes. I'm talking about their things. And it's just like, I honestly, if their quotes are genuine and are not like edited or put out there to sound a certain way, if they're truly genuine, like as to what they say, feel, I could probably have fucking great conversations with these guys, because like,
I think you probably could,
because like talking, like hearing those quotes and them talking about their artistry and what they do, regardless if I like it or not, it's still artistry. It's still art. It's their art. It's not my art. I fucking think it's horrible, but it's still art. And to hear those quotes and hear them talking about that, it is kind of cool. And it's like, okay, you're into this, you're invested in this, but why did you have to put this album out? It's just so, which is, and that's why I was asking, like, what is like the difference here? Because this is just like this. I don't like the sound, don't like the lyrics except for like one song. And it's just like everything sounds like it's just trying to be like this like fucking epic anthem. Like every song is like trying to be like the biggest song in the world with all this like fucking like just like fucking drum machines and fucking synthesizers and I like drum machines. I like synthesizers. Like I love fucking Joy Division. I love Kraftwerk. I love all that fucking, you know, I love 80s fucking pop. But like it just this album, it just doesn't do it for me. And I think it is because I hear a very big like boy band element in this album. And I don't know, like I just, and not even like a good boy band. It's not like it's NSYNC. It's like fucking like one of like those like the ones that like didn't do anything but like were supposed to be like the next big boy band, but then they just never took off. You know what I mean? Like that's what this album sounds like to me.
They like niche took off. They're a similar concept to 5 Seconds of Summer. They had like two singles
that would be the fucking band that like I couldn't think of the name because I looked them up earlier. I actually Googled B level boy bands, or like B and C tier boy bands, and 5 Seconds of Summer is one of the bands that came up.
Was it them? It's them. Like Simple Plan is another one that would fit in their general sort of a vein, and like Simple Plan.
Big Time Rush, would that be one, or did they actually do something?
All Time Low.
All Time Low. Okay.
And it's not that they didn't do anything; it was just they had their crowd.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, right.
That's all they need
Yes.
is like they have those people that like showed up at 16 and were screaming The Great Escape, and those people are now 30, 40 years old, still showing up and screaming The Great Escape, but now they're also screaming The Outside.
And it's funny too, because I will say as an overall discography, I'm not super familiar with Dashboard Confessional in general.
I knew a couple of theirs and had to delve into everything before their show, so that I was familiar with it. But I think my favorite is the one they released while they were on tour, where it's a duet with Martin and Chris from Dashboard.
Okay, but like
that I threw on our list to learn how to play.
There you go. But like that's the thing is like is what I do know of Dashboard Confessional, and like I said, I haven't delved very deeply in Dashboard Confessional. It surprises me that they had Boys Likes Girls as a sporting band for them, because I don't see that being a fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it did. I don't. You were at the show. Maybe it worked. But
it does. It does. And partially because like they were coming up around the same time, and Dashboard took off first.
Right. That fucking Screaming Infidelities, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good fucking song.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking song.
This is stuff that like Shaq would play if he's not playing Irish music.
Oh yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, shout out to our boy Mike Shackleton. Yeah, no, I could totally fucking see that. Does he even play Irish music anymore though? Oh, burn.
Here and there.
I know, but so it is funny. So I think it and when you look back to it, I think when actually Screaming Infidelities came out, that is when the next wave of emo began. The wave that I couldn't be a part of. Or just chose not to be a part of that. You know what I mean? I think Screaming Infidelities was, I'm going to say it was 98, 99. And then oh no, they started that long ago. Let's see. Let's do the Google machine. Screaming Infidelities. Come on. When was that released?
They started in 99.
Yeah. So Screaming Infidelities is the first single from Dashboard Confessional's 2001 album, The Places You Have Come to Fear the Most. And that's when I started. That's when, in my opinion, emo became too commercialized.
Okay.
You know, and I mean, I think that's ultimately anybody says like, listen, you can be a musician, you can be an independent musician, and you can make a living, especially now, more so now than any time in history. You can make a living being an independent musician without a record label, putting out your own albums, booking your own tours, more so now than you ever could at any time in history, in my opinion. But ultimately, when bands, especially when you're looking at that like late 90s, when the internet was just starting to form, MySpace was really just starting to come out.
Yeah.
Facebook wasn't even really a thing yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you think about that, I have a really tough time telling any band or any musician or any artist that they've sold out. Do you know what I mean? Because ultimately, I'm more pissed off at the people who get into it and become famous and then shit on the industry and their fame in the industry than I am about people who've decided to embrace that side of the industry. You can do it. You've always been able to do it, more so now than ever. You can do it as a completely independent artist. So I don't care if someone decides, hey, I'm going to take the fucking major label fucking record deal and I'm going to run with it. Good for you. Do you know what I mean? That's ultimately why you got into playing music. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, generally people get into it to meet girls and to hopefully be famous. Like it's the truth. It really is. It really is the truth. Go back to season 1 when we talked to Rick Barton from Dropkick Murphys. Why did him and his brother start playing guitars so they could meet girls. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what you do. You know what I mean? And that's why I you know what I mean? I couldn't play baseball, so I needed a way to stand out. So I started fucking playing guitar. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I got into theater to meet girls. I got, you know what I mean? Like you know, that's why people do. So I don't have an issue with people like, you know, selling out, but like that is the point where I would say that emo got commercialized was like 99, 2000, 2001. And that's when I was out of it because in my opinion, like that's where I was like, you know what? I wanted to be independent. I wanted to go on my own way, do this myself. Fuck you guys for doing it. Not that I'm necessarily mad that they did it. It's just like, this isn't a sound that I want to be a part of. So that's why like once I heard Screaming Infidelities, I was just like, think I'm out on the whole emo thing for a while. You know what I mean? So, but again, hey, whatever. People can do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, I don't fucking like this album. I do not like this album, and it's just like that's why I'm just kind of like, and I'm not familiar with the band, and that's it's if they were like an early 2000s emo band, and it's not that much of a departure. Like it really makes me wonder what the fuck was happening in early 2000s emo, because
I think you should listen to the self-titled.
yeah,
I do.
Think so?
I
Do I
do.
have to?
Yes.
Damn, you said that in your teacher voice.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's the
Wow.
same voice when they say, "Oh, do I have to answer this one?" Yes.
Yeah.
Because you asked, yes.
Yes. There you go.
Nobody else does because they didn't ask, but now
Yes.
you've asked. Now you have to do it because you asked.
Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, these guys were very much the MySpace era, and they they even at the show with Dashboard would comment like, "Hey, it's been almost 20 years of this for us now. Like."
yeah.
Our first show in Philly, we played to 17 people, and
Yep.
somebody's like yelling a little extra, and he's like, "You weren't there. You're not old enough to have been. You weren't there." And there were 7. We sold a T-shirt.
Nice.
A T-shirt.
Nice.
I think I even got video of that part.
Oh,
but then,
wow.
like, they commented about like, "Hey, we forgive you for downloading all of our shit on LimeWire."
Yeah,
like,
why not?
It's cool. Like, you had to at that point. We get it.
Yep. And I mean, I think that's the thing too. Like people forget about like Napster and LimeWire. Definitely help to introduce artists to people who wouldn't have necessarily have heard them. You know what I mean? It happens to me all the time with Spotify, and fuck Spotify and how they pay their artists. They don't pay them nearly enough, and they don't pay their podcasters shit because fuck you guys. We keep fucking getting rid of our fucking podcast support. So no one's gonna go on a date with you now. You realize that? Like Spotify.
Oh darn! I guess I'll just have to talk to people.
Jesus Christ! Come on, we were trying to sell you out and like get $30 for a date with Megan. Listen, okay, I'll tell you what, guys. If you send me $30, you Venmo me $30, we will still get you a date with Megan.
Wow!
You're welcome. What else are you doing? Come on now.
Oh, working my 87 jobs.
Whatever. We'll just we'll make the date one of our shows so we have people show
There
up
we
to
go.
see us play.
I'll get behind that one.
Mind you, there's never covers at any of our shows. So, like, if you're paying $30 for a date with Megan at one of our shows, you're paying way too fucking much. You could just come to one of our shows and see me and Megan play music together. So, which I am not doing right now. I'm off.
No.
I'm on baby watch, or I have a baby at this point. I don't know. We're so far ahead. So I'm okay with that. I'm off until the beginning of March. So that's a good thing.
Leaving me stranded to go talk to other people.
I know, right?
Play
I know,
other
right?
like learn things.
Hey,
what?
hey, whatever. You gotta keep evolving.
I guess.
So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of this album.
No.
It just it was not my thing. Like I had said, I think I had messaged you and I had just said like, dude, I there's so much I want to say to you about this album, and none of it was good.
You didn't say that part.
I know because I was trying to save it for a podcast, but I've calmed down from when I was listening to it. I was like, why the fuck are you making me do this? Like to the point where and it almost but didn't. You almost got a fun-esque letter from the Time Machine.
Oh, Lord. Oh no!
Because I was like, oh my god, this is like I was like, this is so bad. This is so
Yikes.
so bad. And I swear to God, the first thing that popped into my head was just like the dudes from Pitch Perfect doing their thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is totally, this would be them. You know what I mean? Like doing this, and I think it was like the what's the hold on, let me look it up real quick. It's Language.
Yeah.
Especially that song. Like once that hit, I'm like, oh my God, I could hear, I could even like see it, like the fucking like the acapella bullshit pentatonic, like fucking, oh, it's like so bad.
I hope you guys somehow found this episode. I hope you're watching the video. I'm so sorry for everything he's just said.
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the band?
If they find it, I don't
It's
know.
all good.
I feel apologetic over this.
It's okay. It's all right. Listen, they did not write this for 48-year-old Paul. You know what I mean? So
No, that's true.
you know, that is for sure. They apparently wrote it for their 18-year-old self, who was doing a lot of cocaine and Xanax, which I don't know. Maybe I identify with that a little bit, but but hey, whatever you're gonna do. So yeah. So I feel bad shitting on your album, but this is just I have no choice.
I had all of these lovely notes.
Go for it. Talk about it. Maybe you can convince me that this is a good album. You can't. So you can try.
I said the opening track, Sunday at Foxwoods, is a killer way to open things, especially if it's live.
Okay, I could see that. Okay, I could see but that's the thing, and that kind of fucking goes back to like the bullshit of this album is like that would be played through the fucking sound system, not by the band.
No, the drummer plays the actual drum parts.
Really?
Yes.
So okay, so I could like, see that. But
I have the sticks to prove that they have been actually played with.
No, I'm talking about like the specific opening, Sunday at Foxwoods. Like I could hear that like pumping their thing, and people are like, "Yeah, all right, they're coming on," and the lights go down, and they start playing it, and with about like 10 seconds left, you see the band walking, and everybody goes crazy. I can kind of see that, but then I can also hear Al Michaels saying, the Boston Bruins are going to play the Philadelphia Flyers on, this fucking frozen pond in here in the fucking stadium, and tune in and blah, 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 Tom Brady. You know what I mean? It's like...
No, they play like a little bit over the loudspeaker, but it doesn't sound the exact same, and it's way more Johnny just doing his thing.
Okay. All right.
The Outside also hits particularly hard because I was one of the weird kids, especially in college, that like I blended in reasonably well, but like this is what I was listening to all the time was this general genre of music. Like I worked at Journeys for a long while in college. Like this was my vibe. This was my crew.
Okay.
So like that one in particular, like if somebody leaves me to my own devices with touch tunes at a bar, I will put that song on.
Oh God.
Followed by Kneecap.
Okay.
Because I'm just a pain when it comes to touch tunes.
Okay.
I thought Language had some interesting lyrics to it. I particularly found interesting the one about I thought we were friends, but friends don't do that. It's just the whole song is just catchy and it's a bop, as the kids would say.
Okay. Yeah, no, they would. Kids would say it's a bop.
They would, because it's catchy. New Love is also amazing. It's a great way to tell the story about marrying his wife. Miracle is a whole fucking earworm. To the point where before the Fillmore show, I was sitting with Brian and one of the guitar techs, and they're like, "Oh, how far do you have to drive to get here?" I'm like, I work in Bridesburg, and we're in Fishtown.
Yeah.
It was about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes. Yeah.
It was about 5 minutes. Oh, did you listen to anything on the way here? And please don't say Boys Like Girls. I'm like,
Boys Like Girls.
Yeah, I did, because I always listen to the band I'm going to see on my way to their show. Like it's just how I operate. And they're like, "Oh, how do I get the song out of my head?" It's so catchy.
Well, I get that too, because for those guys, for those guys, I know that wasn't on purpose. For those guys, it's their fucking job. It's like, you know what I mean? It like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to fucking go to my job
and it's
again.
like, it's the show, and it's the sound check, and it's any rehearsal time before the official sound check.
Yeah, rehearsal. What is that? Bands rehearse?
I mean, not the Birmingham
Not the Birmingham
Six.
Six, no.
Cry is really heavy and also hits hard in a way that's different than The Outside. That was the one that took them 9 years to write. So like I at least can feel all of the feeling that went into putting it together, and like I don't know all of the details because there's no Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
But
you could start one. I think you can do that on Wikipedia. You just do stuff.
Yeah, but I don't have enough detailed information to put into it because
and then you let everybody else take over.
I can't put stuff that's not supposed to be there.
Why not? We say stuff that's not supposed to be there all the time. We have fucking, we're on like episode like 90 something.
It's the internet. It must be true.
It is.
Physical is also super catchy. That one also, I heard through the metaphorical grapevine that the Gardner brothers from Riverdance were supposed to be doing some sort of something with that.
Okay.
So context on that: the Gardner brothers are in fact brothers. Their Instagram account.
So it's not just a catchy name.
No.
Okay.
Their entire Instagram account is them putting together hard shoe Irish dance routines to popular music.
Okay.
So as of this, I mean, we're in the future, but at the time of actual recording, they put one out to one of the songs from Wicked right after Wicked came out.
Okay.
So it's like a whatever happens to be cooler. If they find a song that has a cool rhythm to it that they can fit a dance to, they do it, and it looks really neat.
So it's like Wicked cool.
Yes. Yes. And because of the Irish dance connection and Brian's connection to Boys Like Girls, they were in talks about making that be a thing. I don't know if it happened or not. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah. If it has happened, I'm hoping it happens because that'd be really cool. Hourglass, I felt like had that same sort of feeling as Dizzy Up the Girl. That's like a nostalgia for a thing you didn't experience and can't quite figure out what it even is. It's just a feels kind of a thing.
Okay.
I thought that was cool. Story of a Lifetime also has a similar kind of a Goo Goo Dolls feel where January Friend on Goo Goo Dolls sounded like it would be part of the adventure montage in an episode of Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
This one was either that or the same sort of montage in a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah, see, and I think that's a problem. I don't want to listen to anything that should be in a Disney Channel movie.
Well, no, because it's not your age bracket.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Brooklyn State of Mind just reminds me of October because I overplayed the album when I was driving to Connecticut for a dance competition right before the Fillmore show.
Okay.
Connecticut hates me.
Okay. You know what? For a long time, Delaware hated me, so I understand.
I apologize on behalf of my home state.
It's okay. It's all right. I don't have anything against Delaware. I mean, it's just Delaware. But it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Delaware, you're fucking pointless.
Yeah, no, but Connecticut hates me. Every time I am driving into or through Connecticut, there is traffic the entirety of the state, and it's not even a big enough state to have that many cars in it.
Oh, see, that's so I have a different issue. Like with Delaware, what used to happen to me is every time I drove into or out of Delaware, I either had fucking some sort of car trouble. I like broke down or like got a flat tire or something, or it was just like fucking something happened to delay me like by like hours. You know, it was usually when I was driving down to Dover, something would be like fucked up and I'm like, what the fuck? I should be here already. And it says I have like another hour and a half. I've already been going for an hour and a half. You know what I mean?
It should take me 4 hours to get to Connecticut from Bridesburg if I'm leaving right from school. I think it took me 6 to get there.
Like,
and it took me like 6 to get home after the competition. So it was so much Sunday at Foxwoods, and it was also the same time that Taylor's version of 1989. Taylor's version of 1989 came out that same weekend, and I had children telling me, "Miss, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to it. I'm expecting on Monday your thoughts on the Taylor's version. We have to talk about it."
Okay.
So I did flap back and forth, but it was like just the frequency with which I heard Brooklyn State of Mind and the experience of the road trip.
Brooklyn State of Mind is the one song that I will say. Well, no, it's not the one song. Because there's only one song. I'm not jumping segments, but there's only one song that I actually enjoyed the whole song. But Brooklyn State of Mind, I did enjoy the lyrics. lyrics.
Okay.
I will say that. I
Yeah.
will say that.
It's just associated with fall road trips. I feel like it's a good road trip song because it's catchy and upbeat, and I find it to be easy to sing along with.
Okay.
And then their closing track, Lost in Wonderland. It's so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, my life is crazy, so thank you for loving me even through the hard parts, because nobody else understands exactly what I'm experiencing
Mm-hmm.
and just how much I love this thing that I do. And it was pretty.
Okay. All right. So how many pilots would you give this album?
All 21.
It gets all 21 pilots. It gets all 21.
All the pilots.
It gets all the pilots.
All the pilots.
It is a full 21 pilots for Sunday at Foxwoods. All right. So did you have anything else that you wanted to try to convince me this is a good album, because it's not, and it didn't work?
No, I mean, I feel like you have to listen to the rest of the discography to see the progression of, like, this is where they started and this is where they did the thing where, okay, it's 2012 and we all sound like Owl City now.
Do I really have to? I really don't want to.
Yes,
I'm not going back,
No.
and I'm not listening to this.
No. At least do the first. You have to at least do the self-titled. I'm going to start playing it between sets at gigs if you don't go listen to it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm canceling all of our shows. Canceling all of our upcoming shows.
No, I think I sent you a bunch of the videos from the shows.
I think you did,
like,
yes. Yeah. Which they were cool videos. I really wasn't listening to the music. I was just like, oh, it's cool. Good seats and stuff like that.
My camera sucks,
okay.
But listen to some of the live versions and like the way they put it together and the way they actually play it and perform it as a whole thing is
okay.
I think makes a difference. I enjoyed just the recording by itself.
Okay.
There's that extra layer of having experienced it like actually live.
Cool. Do you want to do the Regina Factor transition, or should I do it?
Our opinions mean absolutely nothing. we are mere peasants.
We are, and I think this album sucks.
Peons, even. However, the sweet baby angel that's upstairs, hopefully sleeping through the night this time.
Yes, hopefully. It's been a rough week.
What were her thoughts on the album?
So this almost went down as an indifferent, because only because I didn't get a chance to really play it for her, because it's been a weird week. Her sleeping pattern's been very off. She's also been a little bit under the weather, so we didn't really go anywhere for me to play it for her. But we had some time today, and I actually did play it for her, and she does like it. She was even singing along to Language.
My goodness.
And now, so
I knew I liked her.
So Regina is still, she is delayed in speech, but her speech is coming along, and so she's imitating stuff. And so she, when the song was saying yeah, she was saying yeah, you know what I mean? So it was like, okay, all right, this goes down as a like. So the listeners now have 4 likes, 1 dislike, and 1 indifferent, or I'm sorry, 3 indifferents. My 10 albums are done. I am at 8 likes, 1 dislike, and 1 indifferent. Adam is at 6 likes, 1 dislike, and 1 indifferent. And Tom is at 3 likes and 1 indifferent. So that is the Regina Factor as we speak, as of today.
How was my Adam impression?
That was pretty good. That was good.
Did he have any thoughts to submit since he's being a loser and not coming today?
No, I didn't even ask him. So to be honest, what I did was, because I mentioned we're still doing the box of Michael to an extent, but I mentioned a couple weeks ago we were kind of planned out the rest of the fucking season, so I had a lot of shit going on. So I did, when we were getting ready to do this, I said, hey, Megan's gonna do this episode on this Sunday. Do you want to talk about which, because I knew we wouldn't be there. I'm like, which one would you prefer not to talk about? Boys Likes Girls or the 4th album? And he's like, I don't want to talk about Boys Likes Girls. I'm like, okay, there you go.
This is the one that he's been dreading since he saw the list.
Pretty much, yeah.
And this is really the one that I was hoping that he was going to have to actually listen to.
Yeah, no. He's like, I don't. Please do Boys Like Girls. I'm like, okay, so that's why I said when I was planning out the rest of the season, I was like, we're doing Boys Like Girls this week, and you're like, okay, cool, you know what I mean? Yeah. So he did not. So I'm gonna assume, although he's a fucking musical hypocrite, knowing me, he probably fucking loved this album. You know, he probably would have listened to it and be like, "Oh, this is actually really good. This reminds me of fun in Postal Service, but not the 1975 because they're fucking horrible. But I do like this album." You know what I mean?
Well, he at minimum he would have liked the self-titled because it would have been on his MySpace page when he was having
Probably.
his 8th kid.
Probably, yes, right? All right, so what are your top 3 songs?
My top 3 are The Outside, Brooklyn State of Mind, and Lost in Wonderland.
Okay.
That was a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
But
this was not a difficult decision to me.
Lord.
I do not have 3 songs that I like on this
What?
album. I like one song on this album, one song alone, and it is the only song on this album that is worth a damn, and it is beautiful, and it is very well written, and the lyrics are great, and it's probably it's a good song. It's a really bona fide fucking good song, and that's Lost in Wonderland. Yeah, so that is the only
I'm glad that that's the one that you're sold on, but also you can only came up with
one to the point where my least is any of the other 10, but specifically physical.
Really?
Yes, you can pick. You'd be like, hey, this one done. That's it, but specifically physical. That is how much I dislike this album. So, do you?
It's okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
Oh, wow. No, but anyway, were you actually able to find a least favorite on this album? And again, sometimes we clarify the least favorite is just it in some cases, not this case, but in some case, our least favorite song on an album is still better than the best song on other albums.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely not in this case though.
I mean, again, it's not that I dislike the song, it's I just liked the rest of them better.
Okay.
So like it's good. Mm-hmm. If it's on, I'm still gonna sing it.
Okay.
Blood and Sugar.
Okay.
But again, I will take that hands down over anything on Barry Manilow.
Oh, don't you go there. Mm-hmm. Don't you go there. Because Copacabana has this head and tails over this fucking album and this band in general. Fucking just one song. One song. That's all Barry Manilow ever had to do was Copacabana, and it would fucking blow boys like girls away. Yeah, that's the only good one. All right. So don't be talking shit on Barry Manilow. That's fucked up. Don't do that. All right, so
Barry Manilow was not made for people in their mid-20s.
Barry Manilow was made for everybody. So I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so what do you have there that you brought with you today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. This is a lovely purchase from the Ottsville Record Garage.
It is.
When they don't have a thing that is possible for them to get, they post it saying it's sold out.
There's a reason for that, though. There is a reason. So
yeah, the reason is you like to get me angry about random things for no reason.
So here's what I'll say about OttsvilleRecordGarage.com is if you go on, you will actually and unless you're, I'm going to say an educated customer or an educated shopper. Here's what happens with a lot of online stores. There's one specifically that I know for a fact, and I'm not going to name it. They have an algorithm that points back from their website to a distributor website. So everything on their website looks like they have 1 or 2 or 3 in stock. Mm-hmm. They don't have 1 or 2 or 3 in stock. Mm-hmm. The distributor has 100 in stock. They do not have it in their space. Mm-hmm. They just don't. But it shows that they do. So people will buy from that website because it says they have it in stock. But what they do is they then order it for you, place your order with them. And in some cases, I don't know about this specific website, but in some cases you pay for your order in advance. And then in 2 to 3 days, your order ships because that's how long it takes to get it in from the distributor, sometimes a little bit longer, right? Ottsville Record Garage does not do that. If I don't have it in the garage, it is listed as sold out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes me think you had a thing that I wanted and I didn't know you had the thing, or I would have bought it faster.
But if you look on the listing at Ottsville Record Garage, over to the right, there's this rectangle that's red and it says notify me when in stock.
Yeah, not on the mobile version.
So no, it's there. It's there.
I looked at it.
I would almost bet money it's there. But if you click that you can put in your email address and give us a message, and you're setting up a notification when it comes in stock. And so when I get those notifications every night that, hey, people put this in there.
That's poorly placed.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes,
okay.
it is.
Oh, but it's there.
It's poorly. I'm not gonna look at that. I'm looking at the title and I'm looking at the thing and I'm seeing it says sold out. I'm not looking all the way over there. Okay, that looks like it's a pop-up ad.
But it moves. It moves with it.
It looks like it's a pop-up ad.
I'm just saying, it's there.
Reconstruct your website.
Well, that might need to happen. But if you click on that and put in your email address and you can give us a little message and you hit, accept notifications, well, then I will go and I will order that from the distributor. And in a matter of maybe 2 days, if we're a little bit slower, maybe it takes a little bit longer to get in, or maybe it's out of stock at the distributor, but it can come back in. What happens is that I will then go and order that title. Mm-hmm. Once that comes in stock, you get an email that says, hey, this is back in the garage. And so then you can go ahead and purchase the record. So it's like ordering it without ordering it. You know what I mean? It's like saying, like, I want it. I want to do it. Let me get this if you have it. And then I get it in and you know about it. And you can be the first person to buy it.
Yeah, or when you don't see that, you get angry messages. Why did you not tell me you had this?
Except that it's there. But at any rate, yes, maybe we need to put it in a different spot.
Yes,
I don't disagree with that, but it is there. And that is one of the advantages to Ottsville Record Garage. So if you're just looking at it, saying that it's sold out, kind of look a little bit deeper, get into it a little bit more. Ultimately, I don't want to mislead people. I don't want to sit there and sell something that I don't actually have in the garage, because that's not right to me. But like I said, a lot of sites don't even have the algorithm that goes back to their distributor. It's just kind of a case of, we're just going to mark it in stock because when we listed it for sale, it was in stock or it was a pre-order. So chances are it's still going to be in stock, but it's not even necessarily in stock. So there you go. So I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about doing that, which is why it looks like it's out of stock. So that is what happened here. It looked like it was out of stock because I didn't have it in the garage, but you told me you wanted it. And what did I do?
You went and ordered it.
I went and ordered it.
Now
and there you go.
One.
There you go. So you have your copy there.
Yet to be opened because I don't have a record player.
Right. And now, so that brings us to the next point here. So when I looked up the Discogs value of this, right? So on the site, and this I'm actually very curious of this. Everything that's listed on the site, I get from the distributor website. Mm-hmm. So the distributor website tells me that this is what I sold you is supposed to be a black vinyl copy of this album, mm-hmm. the 2024 pressing black vinyl. Now on Discogs, when you put in that UPC number, only one copy comes out, and it was a pressing that was in the U.S. and Canada for 2024, and it is a ruby red pressing.
Interesting.
Okay, so if you look up the UPC on this, mm-hmm. again, everything because I even looked when you got here, and I looked up, and we're still going to do the Discogs value based on what I found on Discogs, but I'm very curious to see, is that black or is it ruby red? Is my distributor wrong? Which is possible. Sometimes the distributor has the wrong information there.
How do I safely open this?
How do you safely open this? Oh, that's a good question. So,
I know you do something fancy with the shrink wrap.
So this is a gatefold copy, right? So do you want to keep the shrink on there?
That's going to keep the corners nicer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you want to keep the shrink on there. So I'm going to come down here with my nail and kind of just open up the shrink a little bit. There's kind of different ways to do it too. I'm just going to go with the edge. Sometimes I have the special key, but I don't have my key with me here right now. So let's see. There we go. Boom. There you go. I got you. Got you there. Boom. So your shrink wrap is still on there. Okay. So it is your record. So you got to pull it out. I cannot pull it out for you. So this is your record. So go ahead and pull that out. And I already know what color it is. It is in fact a black vinyl cover. So the distributor information is correct. My website is correct that it is black vinyl. But like I said,
I thought it might have been like speckle.
Yeah, no, it's just paper. It's just paper. On Discogs, though, if you put in UPC, like I said, only one copy comes up, and it is that ruby red copy. And so we're going to go based on that, and because the black copy doesn't even come up. So the very good plus value of this record. Now, you have basically a mint condition record there because it's never been played. We literally just
watched it be opened.
Right. So, but those are not the rules.
No,
we go by very good plus.
Mint's probably like $45-$50.
It's probably something like that. I think it's probably still
that's
running.
what it was on the band website.
Yep. So your copy right there, the Very Good Plus value, is $30. Okay. It was actually listed for $22.99. So you already have a return on your investment there of $7. So that brings the listener's Discogs value up to $494. I am still in the lead. My 10 records are done with $823. You're catching up to Adam, listeners, and because he is at $503, and Tom is bringing up the rear, as Tom likes to do, at $226. So we are, even though we already know what this is going to be, we're going to grab. We have pomp and circumstance here. You know, we got to go through it. We got to go through the motions.
There are steps.
There are
steps.
A procedure. Yes. We're going to grab,
and the procedure has to be explained exactly how the procedure needs to be explained. There's directions.
Yes, there are.
There should always be directions, and we should follow the directions.
Okay, all right.
For those of you high school friends who are listening, we should follow directions, especially when they're written and said out loud 18 times.
I forgot about them.
Yeah.
I forgot about the high school kids who might be watching. So should we introduce them to Michael Stripe, who is...
I mean, it is a biology class.
Yeah,
so
and which makes sense because, and since we're talking about biology, and so you high school students should know, Michael Stripe is all dick. Just so you guys know, he's all dick.
I wanted to keep my job. I like my job. I wanted to keep my job.
We'll find another one. It's fine. All right, go ahead. You got to read that envelope for what next week's episode's going to be.
We have envelope number 18, and I'm opening it like a normal person.
Thank God somebody does.
What does that say? Is that a K or a B?
That's a K.
That's not a K.
That's a K.
It's not a K.
It's a K.
Okay. Assuming that it is actually a K, this will be The Strokes, Is This It?
Yes.
Which is a listener pick.
Yes, it is.
It's also a Booze and Vinyl.
Yes, so this is cool. So this is another listener pick. What is cool about this is I don't know this fucking dude, right? It's this guy who just, and again, once again, listeners, put down what you want us to cover in season 3, because it's this dude who literally just, on Spotify said, hey, you guys should cover this.
Well, he deserves a shout out.
He does. Viek Viek on Spotify. So,
cool.
Yep. So there you go. And this is a Booze and Vinyl.
Is he one of your listeners from Bahrain?
I don't know.
Why are you
I'm
throwing
just
things at me?
I know, because you made me listen to this crappy album.
Oh my goodness.
So, I don't know. I hope he's from Bahrain. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
So next week's episode is going to be The Strokes, Is This It?
Make a note of that on my list.
Yes. So
we can get our Shenzi perspective.
Yes, we find out how many pilots The Strokes gets. Yeah, that's it. Megan, thank you for coming up to the Oddsville Record Garage.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Any final thoughts on this album?
Oh, same thing as always. Listen and form your own opinion.
God damn.
Except determine that you like it, because that's the correct opinion to have.
Yeah, no, I listened to it. I formed my own opinion.
You certainly did.
It's a crappy album. So, but yes, no, thank you. You have one more listener pick, so you will definitely be back on for at least that, and we'll see how the rest of season 2 goes. And if there is nothing else, it is time. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's it.
All right. So at the end of class, everybody, right before the bell rings, you have to look at Miss Glance here and say, raise your hand towards the end of class and say, Miss Glance, it is time to.
You get an extra 10 merits for that one.